Do you have any concerns about that one being in the sunlight at all?
I have some concerns, but we'll see how it goes. I think it's got to go better than the last time we recorded. So
yes, very true.
Can't be too worried. Arpit, thanks for coming back.
Yeah, thanks. I'm happy to be here.
31st episode, Never Ending Becoming podcast. We're trying this again with some more robust cameras than the last time you were on for the 25th episode.
Yeah, I did enjoy what you did with the work in the second half, the different titles you were putting on.
That was the best part, is going through and editing the thing and trying to come up with ridiculous taglines or phrasings to put.
It was funny.
It was like my news segment practice. So I just, I threw myself on there, and then we could do the upper left-hand corner, upper right-hand corner, making it seem like you were calling in or something like that, even though you were, of course, there.
Yeah,
but
no, I liked it.
Enough about the past. 31st episode here. We're doing a different location, too.
Yeah. Yep.
So trying to go with the COVID times, continually changing around different dynamics that come up.
I like it.
Yeah. But you're looking fresh. You look great, You just got a haircut. We were talking about that.
Yeah.
You got your COVID cut experience.
Yeah, shout out Portage Gentleman Shop. They made me feel very safe. Never took off the mask.
That's great.
Took my temperature. It's the first place I've been to where they point the gun at you.
Oh, that was your first time, right?
Yeah.
Damn.
It was a little weird. It was a little bit weird when they do that, because
Yeah.
they're like, we need to take your temperature, and he's fumbling around. He's asking the other barber, "Where's the gun?" You're like, oh, what's happening right now?
Did they do on the forehead?
Yeah,
Okay.
just a foot away from you too.
Yeah.
But I wanted to ask what my temperature was, just out of genuine curiosity, but didn't get to that point.
Yeah, next time.
Yeah.
Yeah, they probably had enough stress, asking each other where's the gun, asking each other where the razors are, the clippers.
Oh, it's crazy. They've reconfigured, and everyone's got distance. Everyone's wearing a mask. If you're getting your haircut, if you're a barber, everyone. So.
I heard they're going to lock down on some of those services now. You can't get your beard trimmed now, I guess, starting soon.
Yeah, no facial services. It actually went into effect Friday, so it's already.
Did it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just haircuts.
Well, I'm glad you went in and saw what was going on. I haven't had a haircut. We were talking about the home haircuts before, but enough of that COVID stuff. We get plenty of this.
Yeah.
Other places.
Oh, for sure. Just put CNN on, Fox News. You can hear all about it.
Speaking of different cable channels, ESPN. Have you been watching any ESPN? Have you been still watching sports channels and whatnot?
No.
My dad just got, he gets the paper, the Chicago Tribune delivered.
Yeah.
And I saw he got it yesterday. This is July 25th today, right?
26th.
26th. So at the end of July, it said the Chicago Tribune sports section is back. It just returned yesterday. I'm like, oh, wait, he's been getting the paper with no sports section?
I know. We made that joke on the last podcast, too, about just the sports segment on the news is just 30 seconds of nothing, basically. Oh, there's nothing happening, and moving on.
It's really the perfect time for Disney, the owner of ESPN, to come in and fluff it up a little bit.
Yeah.
Maybe do some theatric sports or...
Well, have you heard about the NBA and their plan?
I saw that they were going to have an empty stadium, but they have fireworks and stuff to make it... They're kind of making it a little more showy, right?
It's at Disneyland or Disney World, whatever the one in Florida is. They have a whole sports area, I guess. I'm not sure what the right term is. But they have this big, giant sports arena, and all the NBA players are there quarantining in a bubble, basically. They're not allowed to leave. If you leave, you got to quarantine. And they're going to play in an empty stadium, and they're going to play there's a noon game, a 3 o'clock game, a 6 o'clock game.
That's pretty cool.
Yeah.
That's pretty cool. It's almost like Olympic style. Because there's a compound that they're all staying at.
Right.
Yeah, and I know the news stories are already coming out. I saw that one NBA player
went to a strip club.
Went to a strip club in Atlanta, got suspended or got in trouble.
Yeah,
right?
he has to quarantine for 10 days.
Social media.
Yeah, they had
social media.
They have a snitch hotline too. You can call in if you're another player and you see another player sneak out. You can snitch on them.
Ooh, I'm really uncomfortable with that.
It's weird. It's weird for sure.
I think it naturally happens through the social media mechanisms, but to set up the snitch hotline, I mean that's like a North Korea thing.
Yeah.
Getting family members to tell on family members.
Right.
In the name of safety, in the name of righteousness, that's a little funky.
And what's to stop someone from calling in LeBron and be like, "Hey man, I think I saw LeBron out there." Just if you have to play LeBron in the first round and just try to get him in as much trouble or quarantine. I'm sure there's protocols for all of that.
I was gonna say they could get LeBron on this 4K camera and they still wouldn't. They still wouldn't suspend him. No, but yeah, it'll be fascinating to see how it goes. I hope the games are interesting. You mentioned the multiple times a day. They're gonna play 3 games a day.
That's what I think at least.
Not the same team.
No.
They're switching the teams.
Switching the teams. It's like the playoffs. There's a 16 or 20 team playoff that they have, and they're just going to go through all these rounds, and the first round will be 5 games, and they'll just go through that and do it over the span of a few days.
Yeah, the reason I asked about ESPN is I don't have cable anymore. So really, I'm just trying to live vicariously through you. I'm trying to have you tell me what's even happening in the sports world.
Not big on ESPN. There's not a lot going on. It's hard to watch sports when there's no highlights. It's not like the old Sports Center where you could watch that on repeat and just highlight after highlight after highlight.
No, that's what I'm saying. Disney's got to get in there. Some CGI soccer, something. Yeah. I'm not sure what it would be.
Speaking of CGI, did you see? You might not have watched it. The Cubs game yesterday. It was on Fox. Mm-hmm. They had a CGI crowd. Fox, but it was terrible. Seriously, it was like they took the crowd from like a PlayStation game, like MLB The Show, and tried to superimpose it.
Wow.
Oh, it was bad.
Did they actually took it from a video game?
Yeah.
I mean, they've been working hard for years on those crowd simulators, right?
Yeah, but still, it was just, I would prefer it was unsettling.
How about this? Would you prefer to watch the game with like a fake crowd from NBA Live 2001? Like clearly fake, cartoonish?
Like pixelated too, like sharp angles everywhere?
Yeah, or like FIFA 2020. Like one that has like more of a realistic crowd or whatever. Like, do you want it to be overly fake? Because there's that uncanny valley thing where the closer you get to digitize the computer-generated human facial features, it gets like more gross looking to the human eye, like more revolting.
I think I would want it fake, just because you can at least embrace it then. Right. Like, it's fake, but it's still funny.
No, I would too.
Yeah.
So they probably just, NBA Live 2001, check it out. That's the game we used to play when we were kids, like 13, 14.
All the time.
Speaking of, I actually kind of wanted to talk to you a little bit about creating our own games.
Okay.
Like making up games.
Sure.
Very related, because this is like an old pastime of ours.
Oh, yeah.
Back when we were like, pre-adolescents, adolescents, hanging out in like a basement looking for something to do, not drinking yet, not going out or anything like that.
Yeah.
But what were some of the ones that stand out? There's the soccer ball game.
Yes.
We had this like fake plush soccer ball. So it was really, it was not a soccer ball. It was can't even describe it. It was a plush toy, plush ball. But we had like a wiffle ball bat, and then my basement, which was very dirty at the time. We had like obstacles, basically, natural obstacles.
Yeah, that was my favorite one, the baseball one, where we would pitch across the basement. There's a couch, and then right behind the pitcher was a small door.
That's right.
That led, and if you could crush the ball there, that was a home run. If you hit it behind the bar, that was like a double.
That's right. Yeah, we had like ground rule double type stuff going on with the bar. But also the door was basically the batter's box.
Yeah. Oh, right. Yeah. It was awesome. So, I loved playing that. We did a lot of games on the basketball court too. Like there was always horse and around the world, but we did a lot of shooting competitions. Like try to mimic the NBA 3-point competition, see how many threes we could hit.
And even I remember we would get like tennis balls and then like try to have a batter's box thing going on, even like in a brick wall. Like, almost like combining burner or that pegging game where you throw, but also like with baseball.
Oh, basically. It was great. We'd play. I mean, we would play the traditional like piggy with the softball, or everyone gets 10 at bats and you get 10 hits, and those were I loved all of those games. We did that a little bit, not just when we were young though. We did that in college too.
We did. Yeah, we did.
We would just find. I think it was just we liked being competitive, and we were pretty creative, so it was always fun to just try it. And we would figure out the rules on the fly. The rules were never robust. And anytime we brought someone in that wasn't me, you, or Rob, like if we brought in like a Martin, he's very logical, and he's like, well, what if you do this and this? We never thought that through. We're just playing.
Yeah, we would write down the Constitution, and then amendments came afterward. We just had to get the ground things down.
It was fun.
The basics. But we did other things too, because we had like themed parties too.
Yes.
Trying to come up with different activities. I've been focused on this so much recently because I feel like to stay healthy in the era of COVID, you have to have this creative energy.
Oh, 100%.
Where you have to find, new ways to connect. I mean, we're doing the podcast outside now.
Yeah.
And, different situations. That's obvious.
Well, it's funny you brought that up too, because yesterday I shot basketball for the first time in, I would say, like 10 months, and I was just by myself, and I haven't done that in a long time. I used to have a basketball hoop in the backyard, Kuvadia Square Garden, as I called it, because it was literally a square with a basketball hoop, if you remember. You spent many days there too. And I was shooting around, and I was like, okay, this is fun, but then I started like, all right, I got to make 10 threes, and I got to make 2 from each corner, and started doing like the star formation for shooting, like go to one corner, the other corner. And that part was fun. I was like, it's fun to just be able to do this by yourself and make a game out of it.
Yeah. I'm glad you even had that spirit alone, you know,
Yeah.
because you do need that. They took down the rims, so you couldn't even play until like 2 weeks ago, right?
Yeah, they took the rims down. They put the rims back up with nets. The nets are shredded. They're all just like torn up, like hanging on by one or two threads. Like, I don't know what nets they put up, but they are shitty nets.
That is so funny. That is so funny. Yeah, I wonder if like they took down all the rims, Chicago Park District, took down all the nets, and then they got put in like one communal location, and then like, I don't know, the rich neighborhoods probably took the good nets, right?
Yeah, or they look new. The nets look new when they first went up in the pictures. They must have just bought the cheapest nets. Like,
Really?
I'm gonna sound like a boomer here and just say they don't make nets like they used to, apparently, or they didn't buy outdoor nets or whatever it is. They look new. The rims are new. They're not those old hard ones that like slightly tilted a little bit. They're all like relatively new rims. So either they took all the rims down and they just kind of randomly dispersed it, or they actually replaced them all.
Yeah.
But they did not do a great job with the nets.
I guess that's why some cities, I know New York had those, they had metal nets, right?
Yeah,
Like,
which the chain ones.
long term.
Yeah.
You got to have that.
And it makes a cool sound too when you hit a shot in a metal net.
It does. I can't imagine it feeling good though, rubbing your head or arm, elbow against it. If you're getting some serious air.
Well, going back one, I had multiple thoughts, but the first one was like, I definitely do agree with you. I think people are finding more creative outlets. I went disc golfing, and we finished the 18 course, but there was nobody behind us. So for the last one, the person I was with, we just made a game. We're like, let's just try putting, and we won't leave until we get all the discs in. And it was just fun to do silly stuff like that. I feel like everyone is so serious now. It's hard to play.
It's interesting you bring up disc golf. I'd love to try. That was your first time, right?
Yeah,
Recently?
it was incredible.
Getting yourself to do new things. But I just, I was talking to someone who's talking to someone. They're talking about high school sports in Illinois. It sounds like they might consider tennis and golf only.
Interesting.
Even over like cross country and other sports, just because they're outdoors.
Yeah.
And you stay far enough apart.
Sure.
Whatever. When I first heard it, I was a little turned off because I'm just hearing like those are the rich people sports.
Yeah, 100%.
Tennis and golf.
Yeah.
Like if that's the only thing that's going to be allowed.
Yeah,
like, give me a break.
you're not playing tennis and golf at Simeon. Like
No.
those schools keep that it's just impossible. It's a rich person sport.
It's space, right? One of the reasons they're allowing them is because you need space for a tennis court, or you need a shit ton of space for golf, which is absolutely ridiculous considering. To my understanding about golf, the only reason it's even existed this long in so many places is due to government grants. Like,
really?
Have you heard of that sort of shit?
No. It makes
I
sense,
listened to
though.
a Planet Money or something on it, and it definitely has to do with getting tax forbearance or getting getting it so that they don't have to pay tax on the land. You know, there's different ways the government has supported like golf existing, which is a pretty funky thing considering now it's going to be one of the only sports that young people can have as an outlet during the COVID era.
I found it interesting too with golf in particular. It's like the presidential sport. Then you had Barack come in, and he played golf too, but he also played basketball, and it seemed like it was sort of shifting. Obviously, right now it's not the case with our current president playing golf. He played golf with Brett Favre, I saw yesterday.
No.
Yeah.
Brett Favre?
Yeah. They went golfing.
I'm a Packers fan, so this is hitting me hard. Sorry, my Chicago listeners, but I happen to love Brett Favre.
So he went golfing with Brett Favre, and then he tweeted about it, and he was like, Brett loves Mississippi, Wisconsin, and Minnesota, like the teams that he played football for, the Vikings, the Packers.
Right,
and then he said
college.
Brett hits it long, and he just like spelled out long too. Like
no.
Yeah, it was just creepy on so many different levels.
Do you think it was like a Hail Mary joke or like a dick joke?
It could have been both. I was impressed, to be honest.
Yeah, you're right. I'm sure someone's got to wrestle the phone out of his hand at some point and be like, come on, you don't know what you're doing here. Is that plant getting too in your face here?
I just tuck it away.
Yeah.
I did that earlier too. Fuck this bad boy.
Yeah, new location. So there you go. We can rip that thing down too. If there you go. Pull it through. Talk about innovation. You're doing leaf weaving in a chain link fence as we speak here. Brett Favre and the president.
Yeah, but going back to golf, it's interesting. Like I have heard that golf is not going to be as prevalent in 20 years, 30 years. The business deals will happen on the basketball court, and
They should.
Yeah,
I would love for it to switch to basketball. I've never played golf.
yeah. I've done it once, maybe.
I've
twice.
driven. I've gone to a driving range.
Yeah.
But I've never even had the pleasure of doing 3 holes, 9 holes. Of course, mini golf. Does that count?
I'd count it. I mean, I
As
love
golf?
mini golf.
Hey, do you golf? Mini golf. I'd be laughed at. Come on, I can't say that.
That's fair. You could say you're working on your putting game. Put it that way. A little spin.
That's true. Yeah, I'm working on the short game right now, but eventually I'll get to the long game. Eventually I'll get there.
Oh,
no, but I would
God.
love to go now, I guess, since it's one of the few sports, I guess, that won't kill us. And like I mentioned, I'm already bitter about the tax subsidies for it, so I might as well get some enjoyment out of the whole thing.
Paying it for it. I mean, the few times I played, it is fun. Like, you're hitting a ball with a giant club. Like, that's going to be fun for sure, and see how far you can rip it.
Actually, the time I went and we went to a driving range was with you in college, and we were just, of course, making constant Happy Gilmore jokes and like trying to take 2-3 steps into it, you know?
Yeah. I mean, that stuff it's fun. I do think that we probably would find almost any sport fun. I mean, sports are just fun.
We were talking about the golf tennis thing. I, of course, was a little like, oh, this seems unfair. But then I thought a little bit harder, and I'm like, actually, this is going to be brilliant. What if these are the only 2 sports? And what if, like, the market is now flooded with people interested in playing these sports? Everyone that did cross country, everyone that did volleyball, indoor volleyball. They're like, all right, I guess this is the outlet now, so that, like, maybe you're on JV, you're about to make varsity, this is your year. All of a sudden, there's 40 new people at tryouts, trying to make the golf team, trying to make the tennis team.
That would be, if you were someone that played tennis and you were good, you're maybe a fringe player, and then you just have this influx of athletes that are playing football, basketball, cross country, just show up and are just crushing it. Maybe don't have like quite the technique, but just the raw talent being there. Oh, that's gotta be brutal.
Something like that happened with me in volleyball in high school. I went and tried to join the volleyball team. I had never played volleyball, and they just put me on varsity just because there wasn't a ton of like interest. There wasn't a million people at tryouts.
Sure.
But also just my size. They're like, okay, this guy, he's just sheer size.
Yeah,
basically.
I think you're selling yourself a little bit short. You play basketball.
So there's some.
You had jumping ability. You had coordination. You weren't just out there and tall. You had good hand-eye coordination, and you understood like how to jump.
I'm glad you got my text about backing me up on this before you got here. So thank you on that.
Build me up as much as you can.
But. No, it is like weird to just jump on like that. I remember there was some bitterness too. I don't want to get into that, the weirdness of it, but like it's kind of odd to have new blood, and all of a sudden it's like it's not fair because there was some people actually that played before were trying to make the team.
Yeah.
And then I like taken that spot, which is a little funky. Got to wonder if the same thing would happen with like tennis. If some phenom comes out, what would be the sport if you're going to make the tennis team? If you're coming from a different sport, what sport translates best to tennis skills?
That's a good question. I want to say baseball because you have like you're already swinging a bat, you're tracking the ball with your eye.
Yeah.
So that's my initial is baseball.
Aren't baseball players fat though?
Yeah. Well, that's the only downside. They don't have that sprint ability.
No
some of the
offense.
outfielders do.
No offense.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying. If you play baseball, you know what I'm saying.
You're doing that short 90-foot sprint to first base, but
I mean, tennis is extremely cardio based.
Yeah.
It's really tough.
I would say I'm so biased. I would say basketball players.
I want to say the same thing.
Just because you have that short sprint, you do that in basketball all the time you're running. And it's just you have some hand-eye coordination because you need it in basketball. And it's just getting that technique down, the footwork and swinging through your body.
I noticed you didn't say table tennis, ping pong.
Ooh. No, I think those are totally different.
It's because it's not a sport. That was a test. Is it an actual sport worth consideration in this
don't
situation?
forget to like and subscribe, especially if you're table tennis
or a fat baseball player. Be sure to
smash that like button.
Smash that like button like you would a volleyed serve or whatever. Actually, out of the two, out of tennis and golf, I mean, I guess I should. Tennis would be the one, I guess, to play now, right?
Yeah.
Like
cardio. Tennis is hard.
Easier in terms of like where you have to go. I don't have to travel as far as tennis court's way closer to me than a golf.
Oh, 100%. You just need way less equipment too. Golf, you need like 9 clubs. You need a bunch of crap. Like tennis, you need a ball and a.
Of course.
Speaking of.
Sorry.
No.
I found your tennis racket that I took.
Oh,
probably 11 years ago. It's Prince. It's blue. Do you remember?
No, not at all.
It's how long we've been friends. I could steal things and.
I remember one summer being like, "Oh, I'm gonna play tennis."
Oh,
and
keep talking. Right. You're gonna play tennis. Keep going.
I was gonna play tennis and played, and it's surprisingly hard. All right, look at that. That's called pruning, everybody.
You gotta take care of the landscape.
But it's hard. Tennis is a tough sport. But the thing you were mentioning too about how you had some bitterness. I had a roommate in college who was like, "Oh, I play tennis all the time." Freshman year, like, okay, I lived with 3 other guys. We played tennis, and I had played tennis maybe once before, and I beat him. And he's like, this is BS. Did you play before? Like, no. And I got lucky. Like, some of it just kind of came naturally. Like, I had a backhand at one point. I couldn't serve to save my life.
That's great.
And I just remember how pissed he was. And he was like, this is BS. I played tennis. How did you beat me? He wasn't very coordinated and athletic to begin with. And sometimes it is that. Like, going back to that point for one sec, part of the reason I love sports, it reflects the real world. Like, some people are just better. And you could train all day and have all that technique and put all in the work, but some people are just more naturally gifted, and you have to try to overcome that or figure it out and accept it too.
I mean, that's why I keep, kissing basketball's ass. I was born over 6 feet tall, so I'm naturally like, I don't know, basketball just seems the best to me for some reason. I don't know why that is. But no, it is nice how it's kind of cut and dry. Yeah. It's a speed thing. It's a yardage thing, number of touchdowns, whatever it may be. It's kind of a refreshing break, from a lot of life, which can be gray or which actually, understandably and actually in a nice way has nuance, right?
Yeah.
Not gray, unfortunately, has a negative connotation. But sometimes it's nice to have sports because they're simple.
Yes.
Right? It's like big and strong.
Yeah. You get to see peak athletes who have trained their whole life go against each other and see how they play, and
even focused or unfocused.
Yeah.
I think the mental game in sports is
absolutely.
I mean, I think it is unbelievable, right?
Oh, yeah.
Choking and not being able to perform in the moment.
And it's funny you mentioned that. I heard something about the NBA bubble and how athletes might actually shoot. It was from like Kenny Smith, the guy on like TNT.
Oh, yeah.
He was saying he thinks guys will shoot better. Some guys have mental blocks in front of a big crowd and they're getting on you if you miss a shot. Now you don't have it's an empty arena. Like, some guys will shoot better in an empty arena because there's no like crowd taunting them. There's that less pressure.
Makes
it's more of a
perfect sense.
practice.
That makes perfect sense. I've seen videos where like they're warming up or they're in practice, and these guys are NBA players are doing crazy things.
Oh, it's
that
insane.
You would never see in front of a crowd.
Yeah. Oh, and it's funny you mentioned that too, because I just saw this video of this player on the 76ers. He was playing a pickup game, and he just was drilling 3 after 3. He was going 30 feet out, 35 feet out. And you're like, this guy must be awesome at threes. He's taken like 7 3-point attempts in the NBA.
Really?
But he can hit them. It's just like when you have an NBA defender on you, it's much harder than a pickup basketball game, and he just doesn't shoot them.
And apparently Spike Lee yelling at you from the front row is not helping either, right? Like formerly Jack Nicholson, whatever your contemporary or old
Kanye
example.
West occasionally with Kim.
Drake in Toronto.
Yeah. Oh yeah. That one was weird.
They got to bring the NBA back, not just because I'm over 6 feet and love basketball, but it's going to be nice. They need to fill up that Chicago Tribune sports page.
Oh,
they got to make ESPN more robust.
And it's just great. I mean, it's a good escape from everything. You're talking. I mean, there's still reminders of COVID everywhere in it, but you still get to just watch your favorite athletes play and compete. I did also love. Part of the reason I love sports, when I was shooting hoops, like that's all I was thinking about was basketball. Like, you can clear your mind with running, whatever. I think that sports have such a good. They can just mentally help you focus on that one task and forget about everything else. And when you come out of it, you come out with some more mental clarity than before.
It's huge. I've been missing it. We had regular indoor and outdoor games going on.
Yeah.
I do rely on basketball for a meditative reason. Like
absolutely.
Sometimes it's even more than you realize, because I still stayed active. Like, I'm in good shape now. Like, I've been sweating, moving, what have you. But it's different kind of stuff. And, it hasn't had that full relaxation feel I think that basketball has, or I guess all-encompassing feel, where you're just totally submerged in the game.
Right. Yeah, you're thinking about the next play. You're thinking about the guy you're guarding. You're not thinking about home construction or what do I got to do for work next. You're just like, you're in the moment.
Yeah. Even running, you can stay focused and you can get that rhythmic breathing going on, but you can also think about your to-do list. And
100%.
It can be the constant chatter as things go. Back to being more creative with games.
Yeah.
Because this is something...
We took a little bit of a turn.
No. God, dude. I was thinking... I mentioned to you I might want to do a money show or a money panel thing.
Yes.
I would love to do money discussion, money education, whatever, but also I want to have like games. I want it to be fun too.
Mm-hmm.
So I was trying to think of different money-related games.
Sure.
What's when you hear like a money game, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
I think Price is Right. I always go there. And I think Ellen did a rip-off of it with like Bill Gates trying to guess how much a gallon of milk costs, and then like that viral clip that he like guessed like $17 or something ridiculous for a gallon of milk. But yeah, I think Price is right. Like, how much does this cost? Not necessarily like what's the stock price or that kind of like that kind of game.
Pricing is huge.
Yeah.
You know, just to you can call it pricing maven.
Yeah.
who's a money maven in the pricing category. Price is Right's great. That'd be a great one. I'm trying to think of other money games. Monopoly is a classic money game.
Yep.
Right?
Yeah.
Trying to accrue wealth.
Yeah.
It's kind of luck-based, way to accrue wealth.
It was supposed to be a game that was designed to show you how terrible capitalistic societies are, but it was like the opposite of what happened with the original intent of it.
Shit, someone's got to remake that game. I mean, they remake that game constantly. That game there's like a bajillion versions of it. But I really feel like it's due for a 21st century, like late capitalism, Karl Marx commentary type version. Have you seen anything like this? Does this exist yet?
But it would be hilarious. Instead of free parking, it's like free healthcare. Like,
yeah, hell yeah.
Like all the social justice.
Okay, so
socialism,
totally.
Like all that stuff going through there.
Well, yeah, and then AOC, we'll get AOC references in there.
Yeah.
Whatnot. Bernie Sanders has got to be a big one. What would Bernie be on the new Monopoly board?
Would he be like, instead of like the community chest, it'd be like Field of Burn, and then you pick it up and it's...
Shit, Arpit, did you think about this ahead of time?
No, this is why we love creating games. We just spitball. We come up with it. It's like free college tuition, pass go, or like...
I was going to say that the purple ones, like Baltic or whatever, was going to be like Bernie's shed, Bernie's garage. Like those going to be the first two. And then maybe the blue ones, the darker Park Avenue, that would be like Bernie's vacation home. Bernie's
Bernie's private jet.
Bernie's
the ones
private
that people
jet.
don't talk about.
Exactly, that sort of thing. Just have as many bitter and weird feud-like things in there. Just
try to like knock people down too.
Exactly, polarize as many people as possible. That's the only way this game's gonna sell. Let's be honest. If we're making a late capitalism game. A game that was already based on how capitalism doesn't work.
Oh, it would be hilarious.
Now we're gonna inject all this new age talk in.
Oh my god! Instead of like luxury taxes, like you have to make like a small campaign donations, like a $17 charge or whatever it is.
There you go. Sure, the campaign contributions that would have to be one. At least on the community chest cards or 100%. The chance cards. But we got to use death tax,
dude,
and somehow comment on the difference between estate tax and death tax, and get into like the marketing element of that too. Do you remember? Have you? How death tax is like something they came up with just to make people against the estate tax,
right?
Against intergenerational wealth changing over. Thank you, Vice, for teaching me that the movie Vice.
I need to watch that actually.
You haven't seen it?
No.
Oh, it's great. Yeah, it's really good.
Instead of the railroads, it would be like Uber, Lyft. We could do like bird scooters. We could do like all the. Oh my god!
What's the most? Bird. We'll stick with bird.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know what the others.
Lime. I'll throw a lime in there for the fourth time. I think they're out of business at this point. No offense to Lime, but I can't. I saw
divvy bikes or whatever we want to do. Like,
Chicago area. I'm sorry. Much better. Damn, Arpit, you're. I'm glad I asked the right guy here.
Dude, I got the juices flowing right now. And it's funny you mentioned the making our own games and the creativity, because I have felt like in the past few months trying to find an outlet for creativity. I made like these silly videos for work for someone's birthday, like piecing pictures together or videos that someone would send and then like put it all together. But I tried photoshopping the other day. I was terrible at it, just like playing around with it. But it was fun. I feel like I need some sort of outlet now to be creative, because I do feel like that part now without basketball or just even all less social interactions, like we don't play as many games. We're just not hanging out. Like we would do that a lot with like drinking games and come up with our own and but we don't have that anymore.
Yeah, and we're exiting that phase of our life anyway. The whole drinking game thing.
Mm-hmm.
Our bodies and minds, I think, need something else at this point. Let's revert back to playing, sport-based games or something.
Well, let me ask you this question: do you think the drinking games was an ends to a mean, like to get drunk, or was it the game portion? Because they're popular in our group, and I wonder if we just replaced it with water, if it would have been like, well, it's still a game and we're being super competitive. Things like Slap Cup was just it was super competitive. I mean, granted, there's a part where like let's just get the drinking adds an element to it.
Of course, yeah, it is a slap. It's a punishment. You want to be slapping people on the wrist, to make them want to pull their hand away. You need a little bit of that.
Mm-hmm.
But no, I mean, people like learn by playing games. That's how you learn anything.
Yeah.
And in like playing with each other, it's also how you bond with people. No, it's just a vehicle. No, it means nothing. We started talking about how we were coming up with games before we drank even. So
Yeah.
I mean, we have proof. Our relationship is proof that like it's not about the brewskis. You
Right.
know,
I agree.
it's bigger than that. And I mean, you know, drinking in general, like I'd be happy moving on from it, using water. I mean, actually, 5-6 years from now, the naughty thing is going to be soda, isn't it?
Yeah.
It's like,
Oh, yeah.
oh my God, he's got to drink half a cup of Coca-Cola original.
Oh,
His body is going to die.
yeah. Oh my God, he's got 25 grams of sugar going in through him right now.
No, that the booze is going to seem like nothing, you know, in a bit.
I mean, it's funny that you mentioned that because you just reminded me of that time.
I'm saying a lot of funny things today, so just
You're on.
I'm happy. No,
You're on. Well, we were in college and we would play, and some of us would drink, some of us wouldn't. You played beer pong, and it was the act of shooting. It was beer pong is just like shooting, playing like a bozo cups or shooting. But you played it with a Monster energy drink.
That's right. What the hell? I didn't drink until I was 21.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did do this
At
already.
like 1 a.m.
Yeah.
It was so late.
Yeah, I tell you, I probably got the worst night of sleep out of all of this
Oh,
that night. No
dude.
doubt about it.
It's still like it. I think it's. I 100% agree with you. I think playing games is just. There's so much that you learn, and it helps your creativity too
Yeah.
when you're forced to play games and to come up with your own and not be bored.
And it just tricks you into loving learning in a way.
Yeah.
And that's one of the reasons I want the money thing to have like games and to be fun, to be interactive.
Yeah.
Obviously, we're not just gonna sit down and play our board game that we come up with. Price $49.99 on the Never Ending Becoming podcast store. Check it out now.
The link is right here.
I'm gonna go back in time eventually if I ever make this game and put it in. But what other games, if we could do money games? You mentioned The Price is Right. We mentioned Monopoly.
Could do one where you're just straight up counting who can count cash the fastest.
Sure. You used to be great at timetables.
Yeah.
You had your timetables down.
Memorized.
6 times 7.
42.
Good shit, man. CPA Arpit, he's available for business. Hit this man up if.
My parents fit the Indian stereotype. I think I went to India and my parents made me learn it.
That's right. Yeah.
I learned it before even learning it at school. My parents went to India on vacation. It was during the school year. We'd go in December. I'd get like a leave of absence from school. They'd hired a tutor, and they're like, he needs to learn his timetables. And I just remember, like, I'm on vacation right now, and this sucks. Like, I have homework to do.
Yeah. Honestly, I remember when you learned. We've been friends since we were 5
Yeah.
years old. I remember when you like came back and when you had this like insane timetable knowledge before anyone
Yeah.
did. And it was a signal to me. I remember, and I felt this, that I need to get my shit together and learn my numbers. No, seriously. You set a great example for me. And I always
That's
remember, I don't even know if I've told you like this, whatever.
No,
and
yeah, it's the
obviously
first
over the
time I've
years
heard
you
this.
reflect on how people influence you in ways
Sure.
you never understood. But you were keeping me honest, man.
Sure.
Like, you were just a great influence in that way on me.
To give you a compliment, as we're talking about making games and being creative, you're definitely the most creative, and I think if you push me and Rob to be more creative, and so I get all these compliments all the time, like, oh, you're so creative, and I'm sure some of it's natural, but I always just have to put like the group that I run with, like, well, you have to be creative, or you're not in the group. Like, we're all super creative, and that's part of why we gel so well, is that we are creative, and we also like help each other be more creative. Like, I've learned stuff from you on being super creative, stuff from Rob, stuff from Jess, and vice versa. Like, we all have this skill, and it's crazy how much more it pays off the older you get and how much more you appreciate it.
Let's talk about influence. So let's talk about, you brought up Jessica. Jessica, I view her being the creative guy,
Yeah.
the artist, you know, the one that I've always tried to like live up to, and just been continually inspired by. Our friend Jessica, like, you know,
She's incredible.
She grew up drawing, and she obviously has some of that hand-eye coordination, and is able to, you know, take something from the mind, or maybe just replicate something, tracing something. But I've seen her work on. She can ice cakes. She can use like icing on a cake.
It's
like,
insane.
No matter what it is, like, you could throw anything at her. Like clay. I've seen her do stuff with like Play-Doh, and it's like, oh my God, you know, it's amazing.
She's so good at everything that when I see her do something average, it's so jarring to me. And it's not a knock on her, because it's like, oh, she's human and she's doing something like better, above average for most part. It's just so jarring. Like, she's so good at literally everything.
Oh yeah, that's great.
It's incredible. But I think we were good about enabling each other, and we all had different skills, and it was fun to bring it together. Jess was the artist, like you said, music and drawing, but you were also the artist, and then you were super creative, the stuff you put together, the movies and all of that. Rob and I were more slapstick comedy, I would say, more like willing to just do crazy stuff, put our bodies, like do stupid things with our bodies, and Rob could just recite a joke.
Rob can do impressions like no
yes.
other. He can do vocal intonations like no
It's
other
incredible.
person could. He's amazing in the way he can manipulate and change his voice.
Yeah.
Brian Eno actually has this belief. I'm going to butcher this quote, whatever.
Sure.
But he was talking about like how a lot of times people focus on like maybe like a musical genius.
Yeah.
And it's not really. He says it's actually like a scenius. It's a scene that you're a part of.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like there's this genius in this musical scene that gets created that good things often come out of. And Brian Eno famously worked with David Byrne from the Talking Heads, and,
Yep.
and then he basically helped ambient music, and David Byrne and him actually had the first record with sampling on it, basically in the
Wow.
80s.
Oh, wow. I
Our
didn't
Life
know
in
that.
the Bush of Ghosts. Yeah, if you haven't checked that out, definitely worth a
Sure.
listen. They were doing it like manually, where they're like dropping a needle. At the
Really?
moment, they were recording on. Yeah,
Wow.
like it was before they even had like Roland and Akai, type sampling
Mhm.
equipment. But they did it. The first one with vocals. I think there's different samples that have occurred,
Sure.
but the first ones I think who took a whole album and made all the vocals
That's
like
cool.
samples.
That's really
Not
cool.
quite chop samples, but different samples
Sure.
like that. But he was a big proponent, I know, of the scene, of the scene you're part of, not just the individual.
Sure. I believe it.
You have to foster a good atmosphere.
Yeah, I think that's something that is great. And if whoever's watching this, if you feel like being creative but you don't really have a group, you should just try it anyway. And just try to focus your energy into being creative. It uses different parts of your brain, and I think it really just helps you in all aspects of life. Like I find if you're creative, you're able to problem solve a little bit easier because it's not just that logical thinking. You have this sort of skill to think outside the box, and it's helped me a ton in my own personal life and my career to just be creative. And I get compliments at work and even with friends and family, like, how are you so creative? Like, you're an accountant. It's like, oh, that has nothing to do with like how creative someone is. Like I grew up and we played, and that's how it worked.
Step one, you got to ask for the answers. A lot of times people do the whole I'm not creative thing, which is just putting a huge roadblock between you and anywhere you can drive mentally,
Yeah.
creatively in life. Step one is asking, and then over time you cultivate that well that you keep pulling water out of to mix a third or fourth metaphor in here. Let's try to create 5 or 6 metaphors. No, you need to get that muscle strong,
Mm-hmm.
so you're able to just kind of build more and more into the future.
Yeah. So if you could snap your fingers and be super good at something, what would you pick?
In terms of creation,
Yeah.
it's a great
Could be
question.
instrumental. It could be like, I want to just be a great photographer, videographer, editor, whatever.
We're on a podcast format right now. I have to say, being able to package and present my ideas in an interesting and a concise way.
Sure.
I'm definitely, I'm learning that. I've watched some of these old podcasts or some of the ones up until 30, and I was like, I'm really not doing a great job, and I know I can explain this better. So I think just continually sharpening my my blade of, what is it, elocution, my pronunciation,
Sure.
my ability to articulate my thoughts and my feelings. So I want to be an excellent communicator. I think that's incredible. I think then I can become a singer in a band and then have lyrics, right? I can do a podcast. I can host a panel money show and be able to synthesize things in the moment. I think that that ability to tap into your subconscious, take maybe a complicated real life problem that's happening, and then kind of mix it into something sort of mystical or something that doesn't seem related. I love that. I love remixing ideas and things. I mean, that's the kind of heart of creativity, but communication. I want to just keep working on my ability to speak and talk.
That's cool.
Yeah, more than drumming, more than even drawing.
Wow.
Because I think even with computer assistance, I mean, we're gonna have a culture where it's easier and easier to synthesize the visual things in your brain.
Yeah.
But it's still gonna be a while before the whole neural link where we're able to, I think, have the computer draw from our subconscious. The huge brains that we have to pull info from.
Sure.
Do you have a specific creative goal? What you would want?
No, as I asked you that question, I started thinking about that too. I definitely have been lately feeling like I want to build something, and not necessarily like out of like building materials like wood or concrete or anything like that, but like either learn an instrument and learn it well. Piano is the first thing that weirdly comes to my mind. Like I've looked at buying a piano with weighted keys and all, or like a keyboard.
Cool.
That I've dabbled a little bit with trying to learn like a coding language, but I can't find like any. I started learning it a little bit to try to build something, but then I don't know what I really want, what the end game is.
Coding is great. Coding is a great example.
That'd be cool just to be able to be like, I put this program together, make my life easier, work smarter, not harder. Like, but it's hard to find like, what do you want to do with it? That part I struggle with. Photoshop, just I want to build something. I just can't like find the right thing for me yet to channel that energy into.
Do you think there's been a physical thing that you've connected with? I don't know, colored pencils or markers or even paint, chalk. Has there been something that you liked at one point that you think kind of transfers well to some sort of digital space? Did you ever get into creating with physical?
I would say like when I was a kid, I'd play with like Legos, and I still actually play with Legos from time to time. And following the instructions, and there's a diagram, and you kind of walk through it to build something. So I always liked that. That was always like the physical building. Coloring, I'm a terrible drawer, terrible colorer, I guess, if that's a word. Painter. That has no, I mean, sometimes I'm like, man, it'd be cool to have a basic level of being able to draw, but for whatever reason that has not like translated for me.
It's different. Legos are beautiful because there's like a certain set of rules, right? You can only click the pieces in so many ways. They fit in numerous orientations, but it really almost I've talked about creative constraints on the podcast before. It's nice to have sort of simple rules a lot of times to then be able to get complicated on how you apply those rules. Like maybe you're leaving Legos out in specific locations. Like the thing that you do interesting is not a new way to just make a Lego wall, but it's the holes within the wall. Like John Coltrane, it's the notes you're not playing, right? In jazz that matter so much. And it's got to be really nice to have the Lego rules so that you're freed up to create, outside of those 6 pegs or 8 pegs.
You have a little bit of structure, and then you can build off of that.
Because a lot of times you mentioned Photoshop. Getting in a Photoshop file,
dude, is brutal.
One of the things that's hard is you can go anywhere with it.
Yeah.
And even when if you haven't opened up a Photoshop file, you have to choose instantly how big it is.
Yeah.
Like how many pixels or how many inches. You have to choose like your canvas.
Right. The background.
Not that crazy, but even the background.
Yeah,
you want a black background, white, transparent. Like
then you have a background, foreground. Then you have layers. Like I was trying to Photoshop. There was this show called The Chase. It's like a game show, and it's basically this. Really?
Is it a money game show? Shit.
No, it was more of a trivia, but there's money involved, of course, as any game
always
show.
Involved.
But it has it's basically this premise: you're trying to beat the Beast, and the Beast is just this large man who's British, and he wears like a suit, and you're basically competing against this one guy, and he's supposed to be super knowledgeable, and they give you like the Beast is trying to chase you down, like he answers questions versus your questions. Anyways, my dad loves that show. And whenever we go over there, he wants us to watch it if it's on TV. So I found a picture of them, and I was like, this would be great. I have an idea. I'm going to make the host. I'm going to Photoshop my wife's picture on it, because the host is just like this petite blonde. I'm going to Photoshop her face. I'm going to Photoshop my dad's face on the Beast. I'm going to send it to him. It's going to be hilarious.
That's cute.
I got 15 minutes in, and I was like, this is so insanely hard to do.
Well, because even when you have that concept, I'm going to Photoshop this face on that, once you actually get in Photoshop, you're like, oh shit, do I use the hair or do I cut the hair out? Because a lot of times, like, that's the hardest part. The face itself's not bad, but then when you start taking the strands of hair that are in the photo, like, that's when it really gets thorny.
The color, oh my god, like, if I took a picture where there's a little bit of a blue tint on it, but the picture that I have that I got, like the actual picture I was going to Photoshop had no tint on it, and it, like, the host body was just, like, radiant yellow.
Yeah.
And the picture I had was, like, more of a pale blue.
Oh, I've been running into that a lot with shooting video. Outside versus indoors. A lot of times your classic inside bulb is incandescent. It's a much warmer, more yellow tone versus the outdoor blue type light.
Right.
Or fluorescent lights a lot of times are bluer tones.
So then you have to color match, and there's feathering if you want to do the edges. Like, it can get so complicated so fast. I always was of the belief, like, if you should have something you want to work towards. Like, I want to Photoshop this picture and try to figure out how to do it, and that way you'll learn more than just watching a lesson on the background and never using it, never applying it. Like, almost like doing homework on top of, like, the lesson per se.
Back to the money show.
Yes.
we could have like a stock market in the background.
Ooh, that'd be good.
Everyone could have a certain amount of money to start the game. Like everyone starts with $500, and maybe I can have like a screen behind us with like the stock tickers changing as we're talking. So one of the things I want to do is I want to have like games throughout, but then I want to have like also an overarching game.
Okay.
And I want them all like to connect together if that's possible.
Sure.
So I would love it if someone could like almost execute a stock order as we're talking, to have to keep your eye on the game while you're playing another, because that's what real life is like.
Yeah.
You know, you're playing all these layers on top of each other. Photoshop, of course, we've gotten there. But I was thinking of using something like that. Maybe we could bet on what plane is going overhead.
Ooh.
That's really
You could do stuff too, like have people start with a certain amount of money, almost play like the game of life, and be like, okay, well you can get this car, but you're gonna have to pay. Your interest rate is 6%, or you can put it down, but now where do you want to live? And then like all the ramifications that come with that, it would get very complicated very fast.
Yeah, it would. I want to do something like the Marshmallow Experiment, where you get like a marshmallow to start, and then if you can hold on to your marshmallow, you like your marshmallow will compound as the game goes on. Mr. Belcaster did something like that in economics in high school. Do you remember that?
With the Oreos?
Was it Oreos?
I know
Pistachios?
I know with the Oreos it was more about you like diminishing utility. Like the more Oreos you eat, the less you like it. So I don't know if that's the example you're thinking about.
I thought there was a pistachio one too. I really couldn't even remember exactly how it played out. But I love the idea. Marshmallow being the other classic one. Marshmallow Experiment, just in case no one's heard of it. It's a famous experiment that they did with like child psychology, where kids were given marshmallows. Oh, you'll get a second marshmallow if you can wait 3 minutes or whatever the amount of time was. And then they followed up with these children like later in life, and the ones they were able to delay gratification and not eat the marshmallow like ended up being more academically successful.
Interesting.
Like, yeah, it shows that. I mean, it's like compounding your money, sort of. If you don't spend the money, if you're able to hold on to it, or obviously invest it, you don't want to just let it sit. You're able to get a lot more out of that.
That makes
delayed gratification thing.
That's super interesting.
Plenty of money games. We don't have to do we don't have to make this whole thing about games or money, but I'm so glad we got on it.
I am racking my brain on what else you could do. And like, if you like make wagers on like, or just give people like that stock market, but you could do like puts and calls, and that would be something super interesting to learn about.
Yeah, just the concept for sure. And it'd be cool too if it was like a reoccurring game, and then the game had a different element every show or like every episode. Have you ever been to one of those bars that did the drink stock market thing, where like the drinks will be a certain price at 7 o'clock, like a Mai Tai $7 and a mojito $6.50.
Actually,
and then an hour later, you're the first one I think you told me about this. What was your experience with it?
I was hoping for more. I was left.
Where were you at?
We were in Kalamazoo on a bachelor party. I think it was Kalamazoo, yeah. And it was cool. It's called like the beer exchange, and that was basically what it was. And it like they had the prices kind of scrolling, and we went at like 4 or 5 p.m. So it wasn't super crowded at that point. But it wasn't like the prices didn't move very much very often. Occasionally there'd be a crash and you would hear it, but it would refresh every few minutes, and it was kind of fun. But unless I don't know. I felt like you have to be really chugging beers to be able to like, well, I'm going to get this one next, because they were changed so fast. But there wasn't like that crash, or nothing was ever like $50 for a pint. Like it never swung like that, you know?
Right. And that's where I think it's probably the most fun, right?
Yeah.
Like I would love it if, I've never been to one of those places. I've heard you and other people talking about them. I would love it if they had like a pina colada. Like it's usually $15, but then like it'll crash and be like 50 cents or something. And then,
just drive people to buy it.
Right. Like artificially create demand in that way.
It would be terrible to be a bartender at one of those places.
It's got to be pretty shit. Yeah, I can't imagine it's that. I'd probably rather be on the floor of the New York Stock Exchange than I would be in one of those bars.
Oh yeah.
Man, this is fucking bullshit, man. This Busch Light was supposed to be $4. You took so long.
Yeah.
It ends up being $2.25. Then it goes shoot straight up to $7. This is bullshit. I don't drink anything but this, man.
Oh, you just make a margarita for $2, and the guy's like, "Well, I'm just gonna tip you $1 on this because that's a 50% tip." Like, what do you want? Like,
oh god, yeah. People getting unscrupulous.
I love that kind of stuff in theory, though. Like, it sounds like it'd be so much fun. Could you imagine, like, could you do that with basketball, where like a 3-pointer becomes like a 7-pointer, Or
Hell
like
yeah.
too many 3-pointers getting made, so it gets the value down to a 2-pointer.
Well, NBA's probably gonna have to do that at some point. So yeah, feel free to like and subscribe. Adam Silver and is he the NBA commissioner?
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah.
I almost said David Stern.
You would have been right. I mean, 5 years ago, probably.
No, but yeah, that'd be great.
It'd be
That'd
cool.
be really fun.
It would be so different.
Yeah, and I know we joked about getting one of those new basketballs that tracks your shots
Mm-hmm.
and everything too, shows you where you made and missed.
Yeah.
We could start by collecting the data, look at the heat map of where everyone's playing, how everyone's acting, and then maybe the following week we can tape the court based on where people refuse to shoot the week before.
Mm-hmm.
So it could kind of be a training thing too, not just
Yeah.
like a chaotic, oh, this is a 15-pointer type thing. It could actually be a way to push us literally out of our shooting comfort zones.
Oh, 100%.
Right.
Make you that much better. Even if you just did like, you shoot like on the left side of the rim, like that's worth more because no one shoots on the left side. Everyone drives to their right and shoots on the right side usually.
I was gonna say, I'm trying to think about the group we play with or the area we're at. I know the outdoor court we usually go to, there is a tree overhanging on one side, which makes
Corner
it
3, yeah.
which makes it extremely hard to sink those shots.
Yeah. Even just like, yeah, the group we play with, it would just be there's not a lot of mid-range shots. It's either like a 3 or it's right in the paint, like 4 or 5 feet away. There's
Yeah,
no
that'd be
one
cool.
shooting like elbows, and it's harder.
Yeah,
Just-
we're gonna get there.
yeah.
We definitely have to do something like that. Definitely have to do something like that. Oh my! Almost had our first butterfly in
Oh,
the shot.
that's kind
here.
of cool. It'd be cool if it just like landed on a mic.
We're at the end of July though. It's been a
Yeah.
while since I recorded one of these. I told you about the 30th getting rained out.
Yeah,
And all that.
sucks.
It happens. You know?
Yeah.
I tried to shoot it again, and then it was an insane construction noise,
Ah,
like wild construction noise. So I ended up just giving up, and now here we are for the 31st. But it's pretty amazing that it's almost August, you know?
it's going by quick.
Which, you know, undisputed last month of summer, right?
Yeah.
September is still super nice in this region. but,
Global warming, you kind of get into October a little bit. Climate
yeah,
change.
Yeah. You could argue September is better than August, right?
Yeah.
Comfort.
Oh, I agree. It's funny you mentioned that. For like just accountants in general, usually there's like kind of a cycle, and as you get towards the end of the year and the beginning of the first couple months of the year, you're super busy. Get to July, and I was telling my wife Sam, it's like it's already like July, like it's gonna get busy, like gonna get busier soon.
Yeah.
Like this, where's time going? And so then yesterday was like, I have to go shoot a basketball. Like I haven't done it all summer. I know the rims haven't been up, but like I have to go do this, like
Yeah.
just for my own mental health. Of it's July, it's gonna be December, and I'm gonna have these grand plans to go out, but then it's just gonna be too cold. And when it gets too cold, it sucks. Like it's harder to shoot a basketball when it's cold out. Like your hands are cold, and just the feel of the ball, and just everything like that. And
No, not nearly the same.
it is crazy how fast it is going.
Yeah.
I mean, I love summer. Just love being outside.
So you were inspired to go play some basketball.
Yeah.
Sounds like we're going to start playing tennis and golf at
Yeah.
some point.
Oh, yeah.
Is there anything else you want to do before we're undisputably locked down for COVID again in 2-3 months?
I don't know. I just want to be outside, maybe ride the trails a little bit on the bikes, and just enjoy being outside. Even last night, we have a little rooftop area that we can hang out on, and I was telling Sam, she was watching her show, I'm like, hey, I'm going to grab a beer. I'm just going to go to the roof and
Nice.
listen to a podcast and just sit there and
Great.
reflect and listen to my show and enjoy being outside, because it's easy to get critical. It's so hot, it's this, but
Yeah.
when it's 15 degrees and you're cold all the time, like those are the moments you're going to want to like, and try to remember them. And so when you get to December, you're like, well, I did have that nice night on the roof where I was outside a lot and it was warm and it was nice.
You know what you should do is maybe I'll come over with the cameras. We could take super HD footage of
Ooh.
your rooftop, and then in December, if it gets pretty rough, you start to get cabin fever. You could put it on the nice big 4K TV. Just look at your rooftop skyline,
Yes.
your actual skyline, from the comfort of your living room.
It would be nice. That would be nice. We have a little balcony we've called Cafe, the name of the street we live on.
Smart. Damn it!
And,
I almost got
I
you this
know.
time. Last time you were blowing up my spot.
And it like those small moments of just being outside, especially after being cooped up. Because I think you're right. I think we're gonna inevitably be home for 6 to 9 months of winter.
I mean, a vaccine has never taken less than 2 years, or is it 4 years?
I don't know. It's a long time.
4
though.
years. It's never taken more than 4 years. They
Yeah.
said it'll take at least a year and a half.
Yeah.
There's only like 20 vaccines ever.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Again,
wow.
Planet Money recently listed this. They
No,
talked about
it's-
smallpox being one of the first ones.
Interesting.
Yeah. And I guess like the bourgeoisie, the rich people did have first access to it.
Yeah.
Just like it's going to be this time.
Oh, I know. Just how they disperse it, and that's going to be a disaster.
Yeah. And it's actually funny. Shout out Planet Money. They were saying the doctors at the time were like adding on all these unnecessary services to the vaccine.
Sure.
They like we're not making people safer. But since the rich people were the only ones getting it, it was like, hey, you want this vaccine? You also have to get some other procedure.
Sure.
I can't remember what they were exactly. or if they
Rectal
went into it.
exam. Like, it's $1,000.
We're gonna rub some donkey shit on your teeth. That's supposed to stop congenital heart defects.
Yeah,
it's
so-
supposed to. Yeah, no, it's something crazy.
I believe it.
But I'm gonna go up to northern Wisconsin, and I want to shoot some landscapes,
Yeah.
and I want to shoot things that I won't be able to appreciate and see, and then I'm gonna I think use a projector and project them indoors and start doing stuff with video and whatnot, but as a way to kind of get out of the cabin fever, the upcoming cabin fever that I'm seeing for myself.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. I think it's hard. Not to get too deep, you definitely have to be reflective of this period too, and like, what will this period look like? And it's stressful now, and it's hard now. Like, it's just nothing but bad news. But 4 or 5 years from now, when this passes, like, how will you look back on it? Were you gonna look back and say like, hey, I was constantly stressed, or are you gonna try to take the positive moments? Like,
Yeah.
I was able to remodel a kitchen, or spend great time with my friends and family that I wouldn't get to. Even doing stuff like this and being outdoors.
This is great.
My wife brought that up too. She's like, we've gotten so much more creative in how we hang out. We're doing outdoor picnics and tossing the football around. And she's like, I hope when we go back to normal, it doesn't become so food centric again of just, let's go out to the bars, let's go out to eat. Like, we're doing so much more different. We have friends over, we've made cocktails on the roof. Like, we would never have done that. That never would have crossed our mind. Doing like things like that will be.
It is going to be hard
Good.
to keep this,
Yeah.
to keep the perspective, to keep that motivation, not just to sit in a beautifully air-conditioned place where they're bringing you tapas constantly,
Yeah.
where they're bringing you fried cheese, this and that, all these wonderful things that, I love. But, yeah, it's getting harder to get people to move, too. We're at a funny age. We're both 31, 31st episode, by the way.
Yes. Ooh.
Super into numerology now. It's 25 years of friendship for the 25th, 35th, 31st episode, 31 years old. But it's gonna be hard to keep all that stuff straight, keep the perspective on what it's like. Actually, I'm gonna probably be watching this episode in December too.
Yeah.
Right alongside those northern Wisconsin scenic
Oh, 100%.
scapes that I capture just to keep my sanity. You mentioned nothing but bad news. I take it you're not a Tesla stock owner then?
Ooh,
or?
actually, that's true.
No.
They crushed it. It's insane.
Tesla.
People are just, I don't know what to make of it. Now people are justifying their stock price and talking about how like they've made such an investment in renewable energy. They're going to be I saw something that said they'd be $1 trillion company. I don't know. I think maybe one day.
Talking about Chamath Palihapitiya, he was saying stuff like that.
Maybe
all
it
their
was
money's in renewable. Everyone's saying that though. I think it's
Yeah.
total fucking horseshit.
I
Not to
find
just be a hater, but
I find people are just trying to justify.
I do too. And I mean, obviously the whole thing is they're acting like it's not an auto company, like it is a tech company, and like the data they're collecting from their drivers with their cameras on the vehicles, that's somehow going to be used in a way that puts them in the position to be the number one autonomous driving provider.
Mm-hmm.
Obviously, Elon was promising all that taxi fleet stuff. Did you see all that?
Yeah.
Yeah, that they were going to turn all their cars into taxis when you're not using them, and then Tesla was even going to take a cut of the taxi commissions. He was saying that.
I didn't see that part, but that's insane.
He even set a percentage. I think he said up to 30%.
Oh my god.
You take a third of the money for like the pseudo Uber, pseudo autonomous driving thing that they're claiming. No, it's just craziness. We don't have to get into the whole Tesla thing. You mentioned in general though, COVID, it being a tough time. I found that I think I'm struggling more with COVID now than I did even at the beginning.
Really?
Yeah, for sure.
What's going on?
No, I think it's just because I have less patience for not seeing people I love as much anymore. Like,
it's hard.
Yeah, it's I was ready to spend significant amounts of time specifically in a locked soundproof room recording with people, and that's kind of been taken away. It's not really safe or right to do at this point.
Yeah, I mean we things we missed out on this summer camp, northern Wisconsin. You know, this is the first year in like 3 or 4 years that multiple of us haven't been up there.
Yeah.
And it's hard. Like, that's always one of the highlights of my summer. with the situation, like, it doesn't make any sense to do that. And those kind of moments, it is nice. You appreciate them now. Like, you're never like, oh, I'm going up there for a week.
All right,
like,
guys, it's been 1 hour. Let's wrap it up.
I love that. Yeah, you appreciate it a little bit more, which is, I think, like, will be great.
Yeah. No, I do want to look at the positive element of it. I'm just mentioning because I didn't expect a vaccine to come out, whatever. So I don't like view any of that as bad news or that they haven't like been able to come out with one. The economy stuff has been driving me crazy because I hate the divide between, you know, normal America and like stockholder America.
Yeah.
But I just mentioned I do think a lot of it for me is just like my patience is kind of worn down, which is crazy considering we're probably like a third of the way through this, maybe half of the way through this.
Yeah, I agree.
And we're even able to hang out outside, still record outside. Being in Chicago, this is going to be tough to do with snow on the ground. I mean,
Have to bundle up and.
Do they sell MacBook parkas? Is that possible?
Can I say winter-proof your equipment? I just had a thought, completely a tangent. Another money game.
Let's hear it.
Guess the holdings of the ETF fund, the top holdings. You know how you could buy like I don't know, like a social ETF where you could buy like a all total stock market ETF, and then you have to get down to the layers. Like it holds like this ETF, then it holds this. But like getting down to the core, like what are the percentages, and have people try to guess like, oh, it's 40% Apple. Like
usually Apple, right? Used to be a
Johnson
lot
and
of
Johnson, Microsoft,
ExxonMobil, something like that, right?
But do that with like very specific like tech ones, almost like trying to like a guessing game of like what would this fund make up and why. Or
that's amazing. And actually, I was looking at cannabis ETFs because I was curious about that market. I think a lot of people are going to make money there. I'm still waiting for like American cannabis companies. Sure. No offense to Canopy Growth or Canadian ones, but if you look in the cannabis ETFs, it's like they'll have a pot company, but then it's like Miracle Grow is in there.
Interesting.
It's like literally like the supplies to grow weed.
Interesting.
Which is kind of ridiculous.
Yeah.
Because the growth of like the marijuana industry at large is not going to be, I think, the trajectory of an old company like Miracle Grow.
Yeah.
You know, where people obviously already have the market saturated. Agriculture is one of the oldest things, you know. But no, I'm just saying you're dead on with this ETF thing because it could be surprising. I would have never guessed that something like soil or like fertilizers were in this Canopy one, but they're not always just computer indexed. A lot of times they're set up just to give you exposure in this area.
Mm-hmm. It's funny you mentioned the Miracle Grow. You just remind me of the story. In college, went to go visit a friend at a smaller liberal arts college in Iowa, and I was talking to one of his friends who was part of led the investor group, and I felt like he was talking out of his ass a lot, but he said something that I still think about today. And he's like, yeah, we're trying to figure out a way to invest in cardboard.
No shit.
And I was like, he's like, cardboard's the future. There's gonna be packaged. I'm like, dude, what are you talking about?
Cardboard?
Like, yeah. And
fascinating.
He was saying like cardboard, and I, for whatever reason, remember that because at the time I was like, the hell are you talking about?
Talk about
cardboard?
Old industries. The paper industry is one of the oldest motherfucking industries, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. I mean, it's been around since
the Egyptians were making papyrus.
And he said that, and I was like, what? And now I think about it. Every time I get a Amazon package, I'm like, what? Where are they getting their cardboard from? Are they buying it? Like, who's their supplier?
Dude, that's so funny. That's so funny.
That level of thinking was just blows my mind now. Like, that's super impressive to think not just Amazon, but like what is Amazon buying? I mean, just sitting around here, I can see cardboard just talking to you. Like,
they've started releasing boxed water in cardboard as a sustainability practice, you know, over plastic bottles.
Yeah.
Pretty forward thinking. It
was insane. And I just think to myself, like, if I still don't even know. I never went that far to know, like, what is a cardboard company? If anybody out there knows, please hit me up.
No shit. Yeah, no shit. We got to do some research on this. I really can't imagine. You know, I was doing a research report on Sweden growing up, and I remember seeing that they were one of the world's leading suppliers of paper.
Interesting.
Just because in northern Sweden there are crazy numbers of trees. Like a lot of the lumber in the U.S. comes from the Pacific Northwest, right? Yep. Like it's certain, climates, obviously,
right,
where you can really make money on that sort of thing. So maybe it's a Swedish stock.
Maybe. Wherever they're buying it from, I can imagine like that company is doing quite well for themselves.
Yeah. Or if it's one of those things where it's just too regional, so no one can be like a worldwide player.
Yeah.
The Swedish are using Swedish cardboard. Americans are using Oregon cardboard or whatever it is.
I'm sure it's a race to the bottom, like where's the cheapest cardboard that works.
Yeah. But
I know like companies there's special cardboard for like shipping that has to be stronger for Amazon than for other companies.
And I was thinking about food that's stored in cardboard. I know even with metal cans, they used to be lined with like a BPA plastic liner.
Yep.
And I imagine they probably used to have some pretty nasty plastic liners on the inside of cardboard if you're drinking like juice out of cardboard.
Yeah.
Like I can't imagine it's the best if you could choose between glass and like even a Capri Sun plastic package or something.
I feel like glass would be the best. Glass in general, I think, is like just the best, right? Best for the environment because it's just sand and it's not necessarily trees, and you can recycle it and use it versus, I mean, plastic's the worst.
I don't even know. It's so weird to quantify short-term and long-term health consequences of, you know, the BPA-related receptor damage your body receives versus like the gasoline it takes that's required to move glass versus plastic, because you have to look at the weight too. It's like
true.
The freight. It's not just your body. Obviously, it's the way it's processed or maybe recycled. Glass being one thing to recycle versus plastic. Plastic can be pretty hairy. I know in Chicago they're still not doing number 6 plastic.
Plastic's the worst.
Which is still the main. I don't know if it's the Dixie cup type plastic.
Oh, I don't know.
It's like,
that. I know. I mean, everyone knows too. Like, all the plastic that's ever been made still exists on Earth. Like it hasn't produced, and it's just gonna keep going until we figure out a solution. Or
it needs to be like some sort of 14-year-old like entrepreneur, a genius that comes up with like a plastic eating machine, right?
Yeah.
Like they have some of those people. Isn't there actually Swedish? Isn't there a Swedish kid doing that in the ocean, or a kid from Denmark or something?
Greta?
No. Yeah, her too. But
or the bacteria that eats it.
Yeah, someone's got to come up with some sort of breakthrough to break that stuff down. And it's just funny too. I would just keep accumulating.
Yeah.
With no end in sight for it.
Yeah. Make it into a
cardboard.
game.
Back to the cardboard investments.
Dude, I still just blew my mind to think like that. Just how granular that was.
Yeah.
It was impressive. I get to see why you're ahead of an investment club. That was very future thinking.
Dunder Mifflin Cardboard Company.
Ooh.
Is that what it is?
Dunder Mifflin Paper Company.
Oh shit. Okay.
Sabre? I only know that.
Paper?
Sabre paper products and Sabre printers.
Damn it! I can't get it straight. I don't know who's the supplier.
You only got 4 months to watch that before it's off Netflix.
The Office?
Yeah.
Oh damn.
2020, and then it's going to NBC's version, the Peacock.
Okay.
So then there's another one.
They really should have timed that differently, because I know Peacock just started to a wide audience like a week ago.
Yep.
Right. Eventually, probably sell this show to Peacock.
Yeah.
Just kidding. We don't sell out. But no. They really should have started with that. I understand that they probably were making mad money to the end of the year or whatever. But HBO Max, they have Friends.
Yeah.
Right out the gate, they pulled it in time to get their major player.
Yeah.
Their major syndicated franchise on.
It's crazy how many different ones there are. It's so hard to keep up now.
I'm exhausted of it.
Yeah.
I'm totally exhausted of it.
We have YouTube TV, and I am very frustrated with that. We bought it was like $50, and they added like MTV and Comedy Central to justify a price hike. It's like $64.99 as of today.
Shit.
And you're like,
the Never Ending Becoming is on YouTube. So
yes. No, YouTube, great. YouTube TV. It's just becoming like cable again.
Yeah, no, but that's a little thorny. Especially, and that's like the classic model subscription thing. Like, get them in and then jack up the price once the credit cards are being automatically billed.
Right. Just justify it with like, oh, we added 4 channels, and it's like you're back to cable. Like people want to watch 5 channels. Like you wouldn't want ESPN, so you might not get the ESPN package.
Yeah. One of the money games we can play is you have to like forcibly sign up for all these subscription services at the beginning of the show, at the beginning of the panel show, and then as it goes on, there should be like strategic points to like have to opt out of your subscription.
That would be hilarious.
I thought monetarily, I mean that's how a lot of people are getting pinched now, right?
Mm-hmm. Subscriptions.
So many reoccurring statements. Easy to lose track of that stuff. Actually, one of the benefits that's come from COVID is I've had time to go and see how I'm being like leached from companies.
Yeah.
And nothing was too bad.
I was gonna say anything noteworthy. Anything you were like, oh, fuck that.
You know, actually, one example for me is I had a big bank account, you know, a major American bank, I'll say that. And then I had switched at one point to Liberty Bank, or having like a local bank.
Yeah.
Because I was living in Logan Square at the time, and you actually joined a credit union.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh yeah, I should be doing something similar, joining a local bank, whatever.
Yeah.
But I didn't close my big bank account in time, and so I got a couple fees on that one.
That sucks.
Yeah, no, ended up being okay, but just silly stuff like that, right?
Yeah.
Like the pretty easy to avoid. and I had the right idea, I believe. Moving my money to a place that probably it should be in. It would be better for it to be in.
Yeah,
But
I love being in a credit union. People always are kind of weird. The only hard part is if you're trying to take a lot of cash out at once. It's harder to do because there's no physical locations. You can go to an ATM. You can only pull like $300 out. So if you're making a major cash transaction, then you have to like physically go to. There's one location that's by O'Hare Airport, so you have to drive to O'Hare to try to get money.
It's pretty intense. Yeah.
It's like, are you serious? Like, is there an easier way to do this? But that's the only downside.
Got to talk to the actuaries. They're like, I'm sorry, 300 is the max. So we're going to lose too much money.
Sir, you should not be
us.
spending more than $300 in cash in this paperless economy. What are you buying?
That's great. Arpit, we did it again.
Yeah, this was great.
Yeah, really
nice. So much fun. Goes
Very
by so
nice.
fast.
Yeah. I'm just going to have to now scour through this and collect all these amazing money ideas.
Dude, let's do it. I mean, I'm 100% in for this, the money show.
Great.
We'll have to think through it. And also that Monopoly idea.
I have like 6 or 8 ideas written down too. I thought I could remember them in the moment. It's too hard. I couldn't think of anything. I had so many things loaded up. It was better this way. It's more natural.
Yeah.
Coming up with things on the fly.
No, I love it.
But I'll buy some lapel lavalier mics, and we'll have to make that happen sometime.
Hey, we went the whole time without making an Oberweis reference either.
My God. Like and subscribe, Oberweis. Thank you for joining us. No, but Arpit, dude, thank you so much for coming over.
Yeah, of course. Happy. Can't wait to be on again.
Until the next one, man. Yeah.
Cool.
Later.
See ya.